Well, the good thing is with using CAD is that we don't have to actually make, or the robot hasn't actually been made all the way yet. So it's like we finalize this, like this one component of the robot based on the other things on the robot in CAD, and then so it's like we don't have to make this and then be like, oh crap, we got to go back and completely disassemble this part of the robot to make this thing fit here. So it's like we make this whole thing here and then adapt the new components to fit what we've already made in CAD. And so it's like we don't have to make something and then by the time we go to like assemble it on the robot, we don't have to be like, uh-oh, it doesn't fit. So it's like we know it's gonna fit.
Yeah, so like with my cage grabber, I basically was able to use a model of the robot to kind of generalize where I want to put it and how long it'd have to be to put the chain at the center of the robot.
Right. We use CAD for just the robot, or not only the robot, but also like the other things like our robot cart. We designed and made our own robot cart this year, as well as our driver station for like the computer and the joysticks and the button boards.
I also use CAD for various giveaway projects, like some of the Christmas ornaments we made this year, and earrings that we sold. I think we started learning CAD about like last year, and then really started implementing it towards the end of last season.
Yeah, like one of our mentors, he already used CAD a lot in his own time, and so he kind of like tried to get us to understand how it works with the robot, and so he was really the only one on the team that had any sort of experience with at least Fusion 360. All of our mentors knew how to use CAD, but it was various different ones. And then this year when me and Aiden got computers is when we decided to really step up and learn how to use it. Our mentors that know how to use Fusion, the only use that they really use it for is for like personal use. So they really know how to use most of the basic stuff, but whenever we started getting into some of the more advanced things, it was kind of like we kind of asked them questions and they'd be like, you're a little bit higher than the experience that we have with it.
It's honestly mainly just the learning of it, since we don't really have, that many mentors that know how to use it. It's either we have to mess with it, figure it out on our own, or we have to find YouTube videos or, generally other sources to basically learn CAD.
And then just some of the things that we're trying to do, there's not a whole lot of videos on YouTube for us to be able to use to learn some of the stuff, so it's kind of like we're in some uncharted territory with it. So like previous years, we would basically just wait for all of the like Anybot robots or like the kit bots, and so we would wait like 3 weeks before we'd even start trying to put anything together. Whereas now it was like the first week of build season, we had a prototype that had like, it looks nothing like what our robot looks now, or our intake looks now, but it's like it was a prototype to be able to understand how like the wheels and stuff interacted with the game piece. And so it's really like sped up our process of being able to like make functioning components.
Yeah, it's also allowed us to be a bit more unique. While we may have like similar functions as other robots, like how everyone's using elevators this year, it allows us to actually own our own like intake or cage grab mechanism. It's actually ours instead of maybe a copy from every bot.
Yeah, so the good thing about CAD is that we're able to make changes to the robot without having to spend money on parts and stuff. So like the more changes you make after you make something like solid, the more expensive it gets. And so the good thing is that we can kind of make everything in CAD first, and to like get basic shapes and whatnot down, and then once we're able to do that, we can make it out of like plywood or MDF, which is really cheap compared to aluminum or polycarbonate. So like I took on the role of making all of the parts to interact with the game pieces, so the coral and the algae. And so I went through like 10 or 11 different variations before we landed on the final geometry of the intake, and then we went through about 5 different versions once we got to that final piece, or that final geometry of the intake. And then Aiden took on the role of making the climbing systems for the robot for the cage.
Yeah, so with my actual grabber mechanism to hook onto the cage itself, I went through maybe 5 different more moving, more, I guess, more complicated grabbing mechanisms, where then I completely scrapped it to be able to have a, less failure, less likely to fail grabber mechanism that I can actually attach to a part that will allow us to stabilize the cage itself when trying to, climb.
So in my opinion, I think our robot's uniqueness comes from the fact that it was us that actually designed it this year. Whereas like in past years, we would just we would take the Everybot designs or the RI3D robot designs or the Kitbot designs and all those that come out like within the first week or 2 of competition. So we take those designs and we modify them to do what we want them to do. Whereas this year it was like we just took some inspiration here or there with like the basic thought process of how our designs are going to work, and then made it our own. So it's not like there's going to be any robots out there that are going to look super similar to us. It's like, of course, we're using like an elevator to make our game piece system go up and down. But like the actual part that's interacting with the game pieces is something that we designed ourselves, and nobody else is really going to have anything that looks like that.
Yeah, and you'll see smaller aspects of our robot that are completely unique, like our Limelight mounts are completely designed by us, and even our Spark Max, our mounts are, though, similar to some of the others out there, are completely ours and ours made, basically.
Right.
You did it! Let's leave. I want to work on CAD now. You guys.